Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. DB333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, the New Order, the ruin as the West Siberian People's Republic of Tyumen. In the last video we were together, we got a bit of a feel for the main characters of the country. And yeah, we're just kind of trying to figure out how to avoid all the bombings. Just kind of get back to some sort of normality. Ideally. Oh. They landed on the fucking moon. Mount Bogatyr, that's a common one. I'm sure I read that in one of the earlier series, so check it out if you want to. Pause and go back, pause and read it for yourselves. Anywho, we're scavenging for loot as well. We're gonna go ahead and probably get better farms, because generally the best I think still the best to go after. We're at basic mechanization. I think the best one to go after early off is mass mechanization. Although literacy base would be good to improve to get rid of that poverty. We have a bit to think it over. Well. It might be good to start working on this. We'll get a little bit of national debt, but we'll also eventually get some liquid reserves. Let's get working on that. The surface has been a land of death and misery for many years now, and our people are finding it much safer to seek brighter opportunities underground. Who are we to stop them? As a matter of fact, there is great wisdom in this trend, and we would do well to embrace it with open arms. The chairman himself has given the go-ahead to begin the construction of vast underground complexes which will serve a large variety of roles, from industry to dwellings. Ideas have been proposed for entire military bases to be built underground, such as the canny ingenuity of a truly social society, to find hope in the most unlikely of places, while in the darkest of times. So we'll get extra construction speed, a little extra electricity in Kurgan. Seems good all around. Comrade! There's no denying that things are hard. The Soviet Union was great, but treason, fascism, and revisionism have whittled it down to husk of its former self. Nevertheless, we are the true successors, untainted by Bukharinism or any other deviation from the path of Marx, Lenin, and Stalin. The traitors can slander us, subvert us, bomb us, and murder us. They cannot murder the righteous spirit of the working class. Comrade, be reassured by the fact that the Communist Party has made many sacrifices in your name. Chairman Kaganovich works day and night striving to protect you from Nazism and warlordism. The Red Army, stalwart as ever, stands vigilant against the bandits who would harm you. The finest government in Russia makes the hardest decisions so that you can live without fear. Comrade, if you feel discouraged, remember this. All of your hardships, all of our enemies have carved us into a point sharper than a bayonet. As we pierce through our adversaries, ask yourself a vital question. How can you serve? There we go, all coming together. There we go, we got the NKVD created. Comrades, you are the first line of defense against fascism. With a gun in your hand, with your hearts filled with love. You are the warriors of freedom, the ones who make our enemies tremble. Ivan Konov stopped for a moment, taking a long, deep breath. In front of him were at least 100 men, their uniforms mismatched and old. Their bodies were thin, although much chunkier than their civilian counterparts. The 1st Tank Division is the pride and joy of the People's Republic, of Comrade Kaganovich, and all friends of liberty and justice. He better be, Konov thought with some bitterness. The amount of arm-twisting political wheeling and dealing he had to get in order to keep the 1st Tank Division up and running was nightmarish. Even in Kaganovich's perfect proletarian state, there were always enough party apparatchiks willing to swap favors for the sake of political expediency, even to the security minister and Red Army commander himself. Suddenly, as he continued, Konev heard the small whining sound above him. Then, relying on his instincts, he screamed, "Hit the deck!" and did so himself, diving onto the ground a couple of feet away. Around him, he could hear men scream incoherently as they realized that, several thousand feet above them, a German bomber was using them as target practice. Afterwards, when taking into account losses, the dead was 7 and injured was 30, a third of them being permanently incapacitated. Ivan Konev sighed, with a heavy heart, canceled the rest of the speech. The bombing said more than he could have anyway. He who lives by the sword. It is unfortunate, indeed. Could do some war planning. That'll give us command power. I'm not too worried about that. External investments, I think, would be nice to start off on. So we'll save up for that. We got Bald Man as successor. Go figure. I actually think we might start off with schools first. I could go either way, honestly. But I think schools will be nice. Schools or farms? I usually start off with farms. Let's mix it up. Let's start with some new schools. Get that back up and going. Let me check, keep an eye on the economy, see how we're doing. We have a bit of a deficit. That's not the best, but go ahead and lower that so you can get more production units. We need more electricity. That's our problem. Okay, that's interesting. Get the underground world figured out. Waiting in the halls outside of the local party secretary's office, Igor could feel his hands trembling. By God, if only the workers had delegated different foremen to make the report. He rehearsed a statement and said, Comrade Secretary, some of the men have concerns about the safety of these bunker construction plans. They feel as though the plans, as written, would produce structures at an intolerable risk of collapse. Of course, this is not to say that you, Comrade Kaganovich, or the Communist Party have done even a single thing to jeopardize the safety of the people of Tyumen. It could be that the plans have been sabotaged by counter-revolutionaries or incompetence among the workers. I would completely accept responsibility. After a few more minutes of waiting and rehearsing went by before the door finally opened, the secretary, a short, bored-looking Armenian, emerged from his office. Despite his efforts, Igor's statement came out in a nervous torrent, but the secretary shushed him before he could even get to the mandatory praise of Kaganovich. Yes, safe concerns. I'll let my supervisors know. As the man closed the door, Igor felt relief wash over him in a wave. All he was left to do was hope that the message would climb the chain of phone calls to Kaganovich himself, and that famously stubborn leader of Tyumen would heed it. So, it's going to be regulations. How are we doing regulation-wise? Token regulations. Here we are. Who are we if we cannot keep the people safe, huh? We got free production units now, looks like. Working on more civilian factories. Meanwhile, let's get working on rapid caravanning. Yet another necessity caused by the bombing rage are the systems of caravans that have formed the lifeline of the devastated regions of Russia. Unfortunately, the fascists have already caught on to the most common routes used by the caravans and have begun launching strikes with the specific goal of cutting off our supplies in transit. In the interest of avoiding such disasters in the future, we shall begin to devise new routes for our caravans, intended to expose them to as little risk of being intercepted by the many dangers of the Russian no man's land as possible. Although these unfamiliar new routes will take some getting used to for our caravaneers, the continued influx of supplies would surely be worth any potential inconvenience that may arise. Real quick, let's go ahead and do military workshops. I think that's what we need more right now. That will help us out more overall. Fred's prison breakout. Gorsk has I don't know why we can't raid these guys. We should be able to. We need set up a front line. Get these guys over there. That's why. Let's prepare to raid these guys. Bunch of stuff happening in parts of the world that I don't fully understand anymore. We'll try and initiate that raid. They refuse tribute. That is not going very well. Oh, wait. Oh, it did go well. And her home with trucks filled with loot and blood smeared all over their hands. Congratulate each other for the successful raid against the unsuspecting enemy, patting their comrades on the back, and taking the last few shots at the survivors scurrying away. Claim victory in this skirmish as our men cheer and whistle in the hysteria of war. Eager to present us with treasures they have prized from the grips of our adversaries. Seize all we can use. They're getting raided by Durlvanger. That's certainly... Ooh, excellent. Extra rifles. That'll be very nice. Zlatost, I don't think I want to mess with. They... But we can go ahead and get working on external investments. I don't know where we're getting this money from, but I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to get it. Got rapid caravanning. Next, let's go ahead and work on living in the shadow. The bombings are only getting worse as time goes on, as our weak industry is being stretched to its absolute limits. So production is more sluggish than we'd like. The slow pace has come at the cost of less supplies and equipment reaching the front lines. To ensure that our military stands ready to face any kind of foe, even under these circumstances, perhaps it may be necessary to make even more sacrifices. Considerable portion of our production capabilities are devoted towards producing goods for the civilians. Theoretically, diverting production of civilian goods would provide a substantial boost to the production of arms and equipment for our troops, but is it really worth taking away what little luxuries our people still have access to? The final decision will rest with Chairman Kaganovich. It was a cold day on the plains of Siberia. The air was dry, and few things could be seen in this forsaken wasteland. Far on the horizon, a small convoy could be seen as soldiers at the back of the trucks, freezing as they sat against each other so as to warm themselves. Two of those were seen conversing with each other, ignoring the third pothole their truck had encountered on the derelict road. I hate this. Sitting on this cold bench with you, watching out for danger while there's nothing around here. Convoy protection duty really makes me wish for a bandit raid. Would you shut up? All I've been doing is bitching about how this is, always going on and on about how you'd prefer shooting at someone. This assignment is vital. We're close to Tyumen. Consider yourself lucky the Commissar can't hear you. Otherwise, you'd be shot. The complaining soldier grumbled, muttering some insults, but before he could get back to his round of complaining, his fellow soldier suddenly pushed him off on the truck's cargo bed as he suddenly deviated off the road, stopping at the edge of a grove. As he tried to get up, a humming sound roared over the plain, followed by what sounded like a beast roaring. Eyes looked up to the sky as German planes flew over them, uncontested. A whistling noise soon followed, culminating in an ear-piercing noise. One of the trucks hadn't been as lucky as the others, unable to hide in the grove quick enough to avoid being blown to smithereens by the planes. Flaming corpses were littering the ground, some soldiers still conscious trying in vain to extinguish the flames as they agonized. Still want to shoot at something? Go ahead, Tiger, they can still come back. Take a shot. The soldier simply laid there, silent, eyes fixing on his dead comrades. It's as if he saw a ghost. For the remainder of his way to Tyumen, he did not utter a single word. Ghost riders in the sky. How about that action, huh? The Black League. Well, let's get these guys heading over. We'll not back down so easily. We just need to get into position. Anyway, the Blaine foreman at a station just outside Tyumen cursed as the air raid siren went off. They knew that, as always, his factory would be primary target of the incoming bombers. And also that, regardless of whatever damage was inflicted upon it, Chairman Kaganvik would demand that production levels remain constant, with woe to those who could not deliver. Performing his actions with well-practiced proficiency, the foreman stopped the line and directed the workers into the underground shelter that they had recently constructed. One benefit, he supposed, of the drive to move so many things underground, if only the whole factory could follow. As the bombs grew closer, the foreman fought to keep himself calm in front of his workers. Despite the number of bombings he had been through, he had never managed to entirely suppress the panic he felt when the bombs fell immediately close. And as the noises grew, he knew that the moment was fast approaching. And then it didn't. The noises started to come from strange directions. One man volunteered to look outside, and when he returned, his eyes and grin were wild. The aviators had arrived, ambushing the bombers and forcing them to scatter. In an instant, the foreman's panic was replaced with savage glee, the same emotion appearing on their faces of the other workers as well. Today, the Germans were learning that Russians could and would fight back. He didn't know how many would die, shot to pieces or incinerated in the burning aircraft, but he and they hoped it was a lot. The fact that production would not suffer was an added bonus. A boon. In every sense of the word. Let's take a look and see how this goes. I hope we can hold them off. We're doing okay. Oh yeah. We got this. The enemy is defeated. Beautiful. Well. Yeah, I think that on that note, I'll go ahead and leave things off. Thanks as always for watching, though, gang. If you like this video, leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you have any comments or feedback, leave them in the comment section below. I read all comments I get. Appreciate any feedback you might have for me. Hit the sub button and the notification bell. Keep updated with uploads. I have videos going up weekdays as well as occasionally Saturdays. Leave any comments or feedback. Oh, yeah, I said that part. Check out my various links down in the description box below, though. Yeah, that's it for now, my friends. I thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye now.